Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the category is after show. Michael and I are so happy to have you guys here. I would like to introduce my very important co-host. This is Michael Mullins-Wright. Michael, say hello to everybody.
Vogue.
And of course, I am Mother Supreme, MaryGirl Moody, and we are here covering Pose Season 2, Episode 1. We're going to review it. Let's rip it apart. Let's talk about it. Let's cry. Let's help each other out of the emotional pits, and then let's rip this bitch apart. Because there's some things that Michael and I didn't like, and I mean, they were very minor. Well, I guess I wouldn't say minor. It was just enough where we were like, eh. So we're gonna absolutely talk about that. So let's go on ahead and let's start with actually just kind of going over the episode together. Thank you so much, everybody, for bearing with us. I didn't realize it was an hour-and-a-half episode tonight, Michael.
Right?
That was such a great treat.
Great.
And
I hope they all are.
I know. I certainly hope so as well. At least maybe the episode 1 and then the season 2 finale. If those will be an hour and a half, and then every once in a while we get like a good, hour and 20-minute episode, that'd be perfect,
Yeah, great.
And Michael and I went through a lot, guys, to get here tonight. You have no idea how much Michael helped me get streaming capabilities for FX. So it's a long journey, long story. Let's focus on the episode and just thank the Pose gods that we are actually here tonight. Because there really was a question of whether or not we could stream tonight.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, Michael, let's talk about the opening. It's 1990, and we have Pray Tell and Blanca visiting or trying to visit the gravesite of Kenan.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenan was the guy that Pray Tell dated at the end of season 1. It was literally in the last... He was like in episode 8 for about just like 20, maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah. It's like, hello, welcome to season 2. I felt this is the first problem that I had with the episode. And then once they got to the rock display, I was like, okay, I'm fine with the scene. But I felt the scene was forced and should have been later. Because I thought the beginning of the episode really should have opened up with Blanca and Sandra Bernhardt in the office and her giving that news. And then go into the second scene, which was with Angel or somebody, and then her and Pray Tell do the thing. Ease into the episode, and then because opening up like that with Kenan's death and all that stuff, it just felt like they were just forcing season 2, at you. And then, but when they got to the rock moment, it was like, okay, now I see where they're going. They're basically were just telling us, you guys are in for a season, and it's going to be rough. And this episode already was rough for me. It was really this was the hardest episode of the 9 that we've seen now, emotionally for me to get through.
This, I have to agree with you. It's like they wanted to shock us in the opening and kind of let us know that we're in for a bumpy ride, in a dramatic, obvious fashion. But it was obviously a point well taken. I mean, I'm back to crying once a freaking week now because Pose is on. Yeah. It's just, oh yeah. But it really was, all those mass graves. And I believe that's Hart Island, is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because I saw a documentary about it on Netflix. Of course, don't we all see documentaries on Netflix nowadays? But I do remember there being watching a documentary about these women who were trying to see their babies that had been buried on the island because maybe their baby had passed away. And, it was a stillborn. So instead of incurring a cost of a funeral or any of that extra hospital cost, the mothers just agreed with what the hospitals did, and that was just to, I guess, bury the baby. But they didn't actually bury them. They sent them off to like Hart Island to be mass buried. Yeah, and those fucking boxes spray painted with the numbers on it. The hundreds at that point and the thousands that it was coming up to of the people who were dying from AIDS. It's just the fact that they put them in a box in the first place, segregated them, and just, unknown male or unknown female, on the box, and then just stuck them with a bunch of other people. That's just, I really love, again, that brutal, realistic view that they give us as viewers. They just strap you right, or they just sit you right in that roller coaster without even bothering to strap you in, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I feel when I get some of this stuff sometimes.
This is this show is, now that we're starting into his second season, we've had somewhat of a blossom of gay culture TV. We had Queer as Folk, we had the L Word, we had sitcoms with Will and Grace, but this show is the only show that has given the world reality of what we really went through, what we are going through, and the whole start of this episode to show you what silence equals death means, and how how the gay community, the Black community, the Puerto Rican community who had AIDS were nothing but a disease. They were the lepers of the time, and they showed how the society treated them, all the way up to death. And then by closing out the episode by showing the logo, silence equals.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
No, I get it. I get it.
Relive it.
Exactly. And I bet, Michael, you're not the only person who is kind of like going it. I mean, I'm sure it can be almost described as like post-traumatic stress, disorder when you relive something such as that, like people who have served in war do. It's just, that's what you went through, it was literally a war. And yeah, I imagine that is extremely tough. And if anybody out there is going through that, we absolutely sympathize with you, and we certainly do care about you. And guys, also don't forget, if you are enjoying the stream, please don't forget to thumb it up, click the subscribe and the bell notification if you want to subscribe and be notified when we have our after shows again next week. So welcome to Emily, Debbie, Ebby, so glad you're here. Yeah, we got Muggled, Jalen, we got Glenn Murphy. Glenn is also giving me good deets for American Horror Story today on Facebook. Thank you, Glenn. No Tail Hotel, it's great to have you. And let's see. Okay, and then I believe that's who we have acknowledging here so far. So guys, don't forget to thumb up the stream, and again, subscribe if you haven't yet.
We had Got Muggled?
Yeah, Got Muggled is
Viewer of the Week.
Yes.
Got Muggled. Oh boy, girl, whatever.
Michael's a huge Harry Potter fan. Of course, I think we all are, Now, Blanca does go to see Sandra Bullock's character, and I do apologize. I looked in the captions for her name, but they never said her name, and the captions never gave her name. So do you have her name, Michael?
No, I don't. I didn't even think to look at it. I'll have to look at IMDb when we're off to see.
Okay, thank you. So we'll just call her Sandra Bullock's character for right now. Yeah,
I think Bernhardt.
Why am I thinking Sandra Bullock? I'm so sorry. I'm usually not up this late. I've turned into an old person. I am so sorry. Sandra Bernhardt, yes. And I just have to say, I love that Sandra Bernhardt is in this show, because I remember in the early 80s when I would watch Roseanne and all the controversy that surrounded her and Roseanne, because Roseanne had her on because she was gay. And I just remember thinking that I had the biggest crush on Whoopi Goldberg. And I just remember thinking, why are people so angry when girls like other girls? And I would never tell anybody that I thought Whoopi Goldberg was like the prettiest girl I'd ever seen and the funniest. So, I'm just so proud that she is on this show, and that her career is still going strong when so many tried to smother it, just because of her sexuality.
I'm so glad they gave her a role that she really can sink her teeth into. I mean, she's doing a phenomenal job with this role. It's not so much the butchy lesbian in your face that Sandra does.
Vinny, what's wrong? Oh, I'm so sorry. Cooksey was over there growling. Come here, baby. I'm so sorry. He's got a spot on his back where he's in pain. Vinny, leave him alone.
Yeah.
He's got a spot on his back where he's in pain. I think that's why he was growling. He needs a little bit. Yeah. I feel so terrible. Before we knew that the water was the problem, he's been drinking, the house water. So he's lost some hair. He's got some patches on him. So we're giving him bottled water now. So we're hoping that will be fixed soon. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Michael. I did not mean to cut you off right there. We were talking about Sandra Bernhardt and how she's just incredible, and they gave her a better role.
Yeah, it's a great role. I mean, she's even with what little scenes she has. I mean, she is that focal point for that's that side of, the medical side of the show, the reality. When she had the scene, now that we're on that scene, when she was sitting there talking to Blanca and saying, you need to hear this. This is your reality. Because in the beginning of the AIDS crisis and up into the 90s, just like cancer, just like people don't want to hear the reality. They don't want to hear that, their morality is slapping them right in the face. And Sandra is that anchor. That character is that anchor. It's great.
Was she a doctor in this episode, Michael, or was she still a nurse? Because I got the impression she was a doctor.
It looks to me as if she was a practitioner, maybe.
Okay.
It was really
maybe a
really
physician's
confusing
assistant
on
or
what they
something.
did. Yeah, but what they did during the AIDS crisis is nobody would work those wards, and no, nobody wanted to be in the dying ward and the no end ward or the risk for infection and stuff like that. So they had real staffing issues, especially in the major cities like New York and San Francisco and stuff. So they would take like nurses or nurse practitioners and stuff and basically put them in a senior doctor role, because they were only focusing on the one disease. But the way she was at bedside, it seemed to me that she was more of a nurse at bedside, like especially in the first season.
Yeah.
But she's delivering news of a doctor because they just don't have the doctors there. They just don't have the staff. That's what it seems to me.
Absolutely. Alicia, so great to have you, and Diana Fitzgerald in the chat. Thank you guys for being here and watching.
Oh, Diana, could Diana look up to see if Sandra Bernhardt's character's name?
Oh, yeah, Diana, if you wouldn't mind helping us know what Sandra Bernhardt's character's name is on Pose, we would be so grateful. Now, this is when Sandra tells Blanca that her T cell count is low enough now to where they can consider her as full-blown AIDS.
Below 200. It's magic number.
Yeah, it was, what was it, Michael?
It's below 200. It's still today. Below 200 is the legal diagnosis of AIDS.
Okay.
A normal person has anywhere between 600 and 1,500 T cells at any given time. And so below, but now they don't focus so much on the T cell count, is more on the viral load within, how many, it's percentage of how much virus is within, the blood cells of at any given time for any amount. But they still use the diagnosis based on that number, under 200.
Gotcha. Well, they did say, or Sandra does tell Blanca that since they are so low, that she has to start taking AZT now, which is, I guess, an experimental drug that would help slow the process of the disease. So basically what they're trying to do is make Blanca live long enough to where when better AIDS medication comes out, it will save her life.
Diana just messaged me. It's Nurse Judy. So she
Nurse
is a nurse.
Judy.
Her name is Judy.
Thank you, Diana. You are so awesome. Snaps. And I see Debbie also said too. I posted already. Sandra plays Judy. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Diana.
Yes,
you guys are both incredible people. Thank you.
Yes. AZT was responsible for more deaths than HIV actually was. AZT was poison. It was absolutely brutal.
So why would they even think that it would extend an AIDS patient's life?
When AZT first came out, it was the first treatment that they found that within laboratory, within human studies, within the actual T cell studies, it was stopping the virus from duplicating, from cells erupting. It's basically putting it like a M&M casing over cells, stopping them from duplicating. But the problem is putting this casing over cells without anything to counteract that, to have the cells do what they needed to do. The immune system couldn't do what it was doing, because you're locking the cells, you're gluing the cells together, and so it's brutal. It's just worse than chemotherapy. It was absolutely just killing people. They don't use AZT as itself anymore. When there's a drug called protease inhibitors, when the protease inhibitors came out, that was the turning point for HIV treatment. But we won't get that in this season.
I assume not, because it wasn't until, wasn't it the late 90s whenever they were able to truly do something and start helping people?
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
90s were the 90s
were hard. Hell, look at him. He doesn't even have it anymore.
That's right.
He is cured. He is, I don't know if, I can't say he's legally cured, but he doesn't have it in his body anymore. So
who is this?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Magic
Oh my
Johnson.
God. Yes, Magic
Okay,
Johnson.
don't
I'm
believe that
sorry.
mess. Okay, what that mess is all about? Don't believe that sensationalism. Basically, what has happened with Magic Johnson, they're using him as a platform to spread this kind of mess. Is that his viral? Because telling you about viral loads and how they monitor viral loads now about how much viral loads is in a person's body. His
Mhm.
viral load is probably under like a 1% or under like 2%, and so it's unrecognizable in the thing. But if he got sick or he started not taking his treatment or not, doing whatever, his viral load will spike in a heartbeat. That stuff is not gone. It hasn't gone away. His viral load is just undetectable.
Gotcha.
And lots of people's viral loads are undetectable because that's how good the treatment is now. But they use Magic Johnson as sensationalism around that. Like, oh my God, we have the cure. No, we don't have the cure. Nobody has the cure. We have the treatment now. We have an ability to let people live normal, healthy lives for extended periods of time now. That's all it is.
Nice. Well, this was probably the most shocking scene because Nurse Judy tells Blanca if she doesn't take the AZT, she only has 6 months left to live.
Yes.
That was shocking, and I mean, it just shocking when I heard that. I still can't. Yeah, that's just.
Well, that's what they would tell them. Back and it's like that they're basic because that was kind of the standard of what these poor people were going through is once you hit below that 200, once you were legally diagnosed with AIDS, and the AIDS diagnosis itself didn't come around into the 80s. They considered it as the one diagnosis for a long time until they discovered the HIV virus. But once they started getting that AIDS diagnosis, it was about 6 months, 3 to 6 months that people were living with. But you take AZT,
Wow.
you're going to go out a worse way. It's just going to be a prolonged.
Well, we do see that Nurse Judy, she belongs to an organization where they come in, and when a patient passes away, that patient has already given consent for their medications to be donated to this clinic, so the doctors can give out this life-saving medication. Well, at the time, what they thought was life-extending medication to people who can't afford it. So, I mean, that was a very good. I really loved how they wrote Judy's character this season. It's so much more intricate because then her and Pray Tell get their little scene together, and I love that. But we get more of the radio songs here, guys. Don't you remember the radio? I know I do. It's a lot of millennials know it as YouTube, but it's used to be called the radio. It's that free little thing that's in your car when you flick it on the FM stations. AM, FM doesn't matter. You can actually listen to music for free. I know people get pissed. I hear a lot of times how people get pissed off that millennials have YouTube and they get free music and they don't pay for things anymore. Well, neither did we. I mean,
Well, what was fun about the radio that these kids, these millennials don't understand is you had no choice. You just listened and you waited for things to happen and you waited for, songs like they're saying, oh my God, Vogue's on the radio. It's like, because you never knew when they were going to play something. It was just like, oh, it was magic. Now it's like you select your own track list or whatever. It's like,
or you make your own playlist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So let's see, we're at another ball, and in this episode we do get a couple of balls. And as usual, Angel is she rules the ball with her look. I mean, they were classifying it as like a cover girl look. And so Angel won it, obviously, because she is, I mean, she's got the face, she's got it, let's just face it. And she the next day, she's on the street corner. I mean, it really quickly goes from Angel having her moment in the spotlight at the ball to her being on the corner getting picked up by somebody. Now, she's getting picked up this time by our girl, Blanca. Now, Michael, we kind of knew this was already coming up due to the fact that we got a little bit of previews for it, and we saw that Blanca would roll up on Angel. So were you expecting that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so Blanca convinces Angel to sign up for a Fresh Faces 1990, sort of like a cover girl modeling contest. And she doesn't think at first that she'll, have a chance. but little Poppy took some great little Polaroid pictures of her. Blanca takes her to the audition. And when she goes to meet her first judge, excuse me, the judge tells her, look, you can't use Polaroids. You need professional photos.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells her, look, here's the photo, or here's the name of a photographer that I want you to go see. He'll give you a discount. And I want you to come bring me back the photos because you're moving on to the next round. I thought that was just so great that Angel, moved so high as she did in this contest. So it was just really great, Michael, to see her, how she's, climbing. Her character has really had some great growth ever since she and Stan ended.
I don't think so. I think just the way your emotion, how you're happy for her. No, I think like how we're getting so happy for her. I think they're setting her up for a big fall. And because remember back in the 90s when they had all of these modeling agencies and John Robert Powers and all of this stuff, bring your children or bring your girls or whatever. So anybody in the world could be a model. Anybody in the world could be an actress or an actor. And they were like all these. It's like I think this for Angel that she ring her so hard last season with Stan and her insecurities and just being naive and believing in a man could save her world, and then all of a sudden she's getting something. She's getting a bit of a recognition and a bit of her dreams coming true. But I don't think that's what the writers have in mind for her. I think the writers have in mind for her. They're going to crush Angel to the ground.
Wow. God, I hope not. I hope they're not setting our Angel up for a fall.
Watch the episode again and listen to, especially after Poppy beats up the photographer and after her and Blanca are having like conversations about how her dreams are coming true and da. Just listen to the dialogue and think in your mind, oh, bad things are getting ready to happen for her, and it's like foreshadowing. It's all set up.
I got that definitely with the closing scene of the episode. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I didn't get that though when they were sitting there having that conversation. I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch that. Yeah. So. Mm-hmm. Now, Lulu and Miss Candy, I'm so glad they're back this season. Now, they're being bad bitches at a funeral. We don't know who the person's funeral is, but we just know that it's for one of their friends who has sadly passed away. And they're all talking about how they have to each go to so many funerals a week, a month, a year, just for this. And it's really, really sad to see how many funerals they have attended in their lifetime, and they're all still so young. And freaking, while Lulu and Miss Candy are being bad, judgmental bitches, Pray Tell knocks some fucking sense into them and says, in my opinion, Pray Tell wins the one-liner award of the week. When he says, y'all are some hard-hearted hoes. Show some respect.
Yeah.
And I think, what is it? Oh, yeah. When Miss Electra rocks the floor as Marie Antoinette, he wins it again for what he says. But we'll move into that in a minute. So Nurse Judy takes Prey to an ACT UP meeting, which is a group of people who are organized together who try to educate people against who try to educate people how AIDS is really spread and not like what the church is saying. Don't be gay, be abstinence will save you and all this stuff. Just a lot of misinformation back then. And they really did a good job in pinning it down on how.
Yeah, to introduce the ACT UP Foundation and its origins in this season, it was great because that's where ACT UP came from. ACT UP came from anger, just pure anger, because from the two sides of it is you had the Reagan administration who did absolutely nothing for HIV and AIDS. In fact, he didn't even speak of AIDS until like his 7th year in office or some shit. And then you had the religion, the organized religion, the church, like you were saying, basically demagoguing people and saying, you're wrong, and abstinence and, holy prayer and all that stuff. And with all these people seeing all this sickness and this death around them, and you start to really feel that in this episode, people got mad. And people got so mad that they're like, fuck it, we're going to take this to the streets ourselves, but we're going to do it and we're going to get organized about it. And when we get organized, we're going to be mad out on the streets. And that's exactly the emotion that they conveyed this episode. And it was like San Francisco and New York that started to ACT UP, and then it became global. It was all about anger.
It was just an incredibly powerful moment. I think that was a great scene for Pray Tell to be like the viewer. They're being introduced into something that they really didn't know about. And most of us, I'm sure, would not. I mean, I've heard about ACT UP before, but I've never known very much about the organization. So a lot of us we're still virgins to the whole thing. So we're like Pray Tell. We're seeing it for the first time with him. And I mean, I was just so swept up. I mean, I had chills running down me from just feeling so emotional and just powerful from it. It was just incredible. And so Pray Tell, it seems like he has found himself a new outlet, and he has now become like an activist for himself and for everybody else. And it's really powerful to see how Pray puts people in their place who don't follow his same logic of thinking.
Well, what's interesting because we're seeing now, you know, the writers and Ryan must have absolutely lived this in a big city because they're getting it so right. Is during this time when ACT UP started going and the anger started happening, this is where you started to see the big divisions in the community. This is where the community started splintering and started, you know, it's either you got the kids that still wanted to hit the clubs and hit the bathhouses and hit the balls, and then you had the people like Pray Tell that wanted to fight. And you know, all of this clubs and bathhouses and poppers and glitter didn't matter to them anymore. It was about surviving. It was about life. And they started to go at each other, and they started to divide the community. And we saw that this episode. We saw that with, you know, with Pray Tell and Elektra. So it was great.
Yeah, Alicia says Elektra was a stone cold bitch this episode. Sis forgot where she was at the end of the last season. I
Okay.
see.
Okay.
Right.
We'll talk about Elektra in a minute.
I just wanted to take a moment really quick to let everybody know that Michael and I will be back next week to discuss about episode 2. So please make sure that you click the subscribe and the notification bell. Don't forget to click like, because love is the message. People, show your message by clicking that like button. And I just want to take a moment to thank everybody so much for being here at this after show. I was really excited when Pose FX actually liked a lot of my stuff that I posted on Facebook and Twitter today. They usually like my stuff, and I was really excited to see that. I was really starstruck. So I'm really glad that they were at least noticing that Michael and I are so passionate about the show, you know?
We're here. Give us a call. Come on, Billy.
Heck yeah, Pose FX. Get your actors up here. I mean, we'll live chat with them. Heck yeah. Now, what's up, sweetie?
I said, we'll take them all. Bring them all on.
Heck yeah. Come hurt us over here. That's come hurt us, Billy Porter, please. India Moore. Now, Angel is kind of having like a little doubtful moment, but little Poppy tells her that she's the most beautiful girl that he's ever seen right before she goes into her audition. And you can really see kind of the how things are growing between them. Obviously, they hadn't grown for 2 years. Now they just decidedly the seeds grow. That's great.
Yeah, I'm so glad that they paired those two up because their chemistry together is amazing. You know, you had these two characters that were kind of left at the end of the last season with not really having their story arc move forward. Put them together, move them forward together. It was great.
I think that is a really good idea because that way it took her time to get over Stan, you know, but it just kind of seemed like Angel was in the same place that we left her 2 years ago, which was supposedly when last season ended. And it just makes me think girl couldn't grow in 2 years. I mean, now mind you though, I'm still kind of in the same place I am a year ago. I'm still really fucking sick and, you know, and shit like that. We all are. So I can totally understand where that can happen. But it does seem like some of the characters, didn't really match up with themselves of where they ended last season.
Well, it was Damon on tour for 2 years.
Yeah, and they did say that freaking Ricky was still on tour and Damon was still, I don't know if he graduated. They didn't even say that. I know that Blanca said that she got Damon a job at the YMCA teaching Vogue classes. And Prey is still working the balls. Blanca was working her job and Angel was working the corners. I don't know what little Poppy was working. I guess supposedly Angel, but he was working something to pay his half of the rent. But Prey makes it basically his mission to make sure that the entire house of Evangelista comes to the ACT UP protest, which is going to be at a church. And
Finally.
Elektra finally fucking makes her entrance, guys. Like 40 minutes into the fucking show, Elektra finally
Mhm.
shows up.
Mother is here.
Mother, yeah. Well, she calls Blanca Mother Blanca and addresses her as Mother Blanca. It was actually really great to see that their relationship was just as tight as it was when we had left them in season 1. 2 years hadn't stretched them out. I mean, maybe I did catch a little bit now that I think about it when she said Mother Blanca. It did seem like maybe she was a little harsh with it. So maybe I missed
Yeah,
it at
that
first.
that's what we were missing. That's what my me and you were talking before the show about about Elektra, and we'll get to her that in that final scene with the table flipping. But we're missing that growth between in the 2 years, because it's like Alicia said, why did Elektra go from here to here? It's like throwing away her character. Maybe if we get some flashbacks again or something this season to show the bullshit that she went through that put her back in that state, it would make a lot more sense.
I do hope we get to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I hope we get to see that. Let's see. So at the church, their demonstration goes, I mean, it's pretty powerful. Pray Tell and a bunch of people come to the church and they see, excuse me, it's, I'm sorry, it's been a long time since I've been to a church. There's a guy in the front, the guy.
Preacher dude.
The preacher dude. Thank you. He's up at the front preaching to the congregation. And everybody, the people who were there for the demonstration, get up and get into the aisles and lay down. And so it's a peaceful demonstration about how they're inaccurately educating people regarding HIV, sex, and AIDS. And the people there are not very Christianly, I gotta say. They start screaming at them, and it's just, they're there at a peaceful they're trying to peacefully demonstrate, that the church is going about this the wrong way, and the so-called nice Christians are the ones who stand up and tell them, "You're killing us. You're doing this."
Yes.
It's just,
yes.
Oh, I got so angry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So-called
This
Christians.
this scene had me in tears. This scene had me, like you were talking about before, me and you, post-traumatic stress. This is a die-in, and die-ins were our way of making some noise, of really, getting in people's face, during that anger phase, during the whole foundation of or formation of ACT UP. And what really showcased right here, and what really got me, it was so hard, just kicked me in the nuts watching this, was the hate that can come from these people. And it's like, people want to know why we're so angry, or we're so against religion, or we're so against, God. It's like, this is how we were treated for decades by the church, by God. We're nothing but poison to the God. And it's like, I don't want religion anywhere near my life. I don't want to have nothing to do with organized religion. And it's because of this mess. It's because of the hate that we received for decades upon decades of this, going through this. So it's like, you can take your organized religion, you can take your organized church, and you can shove it right up your ass, for all I'm concerned. Now, people can do whatever they want to do with faith and religion and everything. It's not part of my life because of this.
Yeah.
Because of the hate that I received.
Organized religion. I love how you say that too, because it's not religion itself. It's organized
Correct.
religion.
They're foundations that are set for fear.
And it's that fucking preacher dude that stands up front that tells these people, the gay people are an abomination. AIDS is God's way of killing them. God doesn't love them. That's not fucking true. I mean, how could you use that high power of authority to preach that kind of hate? I mean,
and this is why you have parents that are kicking kids out or punching kids in the face, like they did with Damon in the first place. This is why people are losing their jobs. This is why people are kicked out of their apartments, is because the church is telling them this. The organized religion is feeding this fear into them, and that's how it all snowballed. It's like, if it's God's will, if it's God's way, nobody knows what God's will, God's way was, but people are going by this, sermons or the book or whatever that they're feeding into people, and that's how it all goes downhill. And you have some parent punching a kid in the face. It stems from this.
Yes.
It's hard. It was hard for me to watch that scene without just getting revved up.
I completely, yeah. I mean, I did not go through obviously what you experienced, but even when I saw that, I was ready just to start fucking rioting just because of how angry I was on how they were treating just simple demonstrators. I just, if you want to demonstrate, like if I was to have somebody come in here and demonstrate the channel or something like that, well, I wouldn't do that to them. Everybody has a right to a fucking opinion, and you don't have to be an asshole because they're expressing it. I mean, yeah. The church is just not the only way of life. So, yeah. Now, one thing that I
we
want...
still have churches that are protesting funerals.
I can't talk about that. I really will cry a bit.
Yeah.
Now, this is a very hot topic for me, and I really don't know if we can talk about this fully, but it really disturbed me, Michael. It really disturbed me, and that was Angel's professional photo shoot. Like we saw, Angel went to the person who was recommended to her, and she didn't have any money. And the photographer says, that's okay. Tell you what, in exchange, you don't have to pay anything. Just let me shoot you professionally as part of my personal photograph collection. And Angel, of course, says, you know, okay, absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't, you know, kind of, that really did honestly seem like a decent exchange. But when you think about his personal collection, my first thought was that could be anything. I mean, she could be touching people to children, you know, I mean, you just never know what his ideas were for his personal collection. And my first thought was, don't do it, Angel, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But Michael, we all know when you're young and you're
naive.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. We're going to make wrong choices. Now, she agrees. And when it comes time for her to go take the pictures, the photographer asks her to get naked. And she does. She has her underwear on. And then he tells Angel to take off her underwear and
touch it.
And yeah, to touch herself. And he took pictures of that. In my opinion, Michael, he sexually assaulted her.
Absolutely, he did. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I'm not trying to like go overboard with this, but in my opinion, I understand that, you know, she touched herself, but he was the one instructing it. He was the one who had the control in the situation. And it seemed to me like, you know, excuse me, my first impression was he's assaulting her. And
you don't have to be touching a person to assault them.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand too, that you don't have to literally lay a finger on somebody to sexually assault them. And it's but I do see a lot of people in the comments that are agreeing that they do believe that he did assault her as well. So thank you guys for letting us know your opinions. We appreciate that very much.
See, and I think this scene was setting up a lot of stuff. I think this scene was in here for a couple of reasons, just not so much as shock value or how hard it was to watch it. Is it showed how naive Angel was to fall into these traps and to believe in whatever they were doing. And then also that it's starting to pave this road for her downfall because of how naive she is. And that's the first indication that I got with all this. But when they came back, I was just praying, please let the pictures just be beautiful and artistic. And he was doing the right thing. It's just we got the wrong impression from it. But no, he was an asshole.
Right. No, he was totally a douche and a perv. Absolutely. One of those pieces of shit who used his
and it happened every day to many. Yeah, and it happened every day, every hour in these big cities that all across the country, you know, during this time frame to naive, young, innocent, you know, girls.
Yeah.
And all the time. Madonna did it. You're talking about Madonna. Madonna did it, you know?
Absolutely. Now, Miss Lulu and Candy walk a ball, and it's a Renaissance theme ball. So bad. I love Lulu and Candy, and damn it, I want them to succeed, and it breaks my heart and it makes me chuckle when Prey rips them apart on the ballroom floor. But when Miss Candy started throwing the bread at him, that was just everything. So after Lulu and Candy, it's a Renaissance thing. Miss Electra comes in and she is in this incredible, like rotating skirt Renaissance gown, and she's even got you know, some of the guys with her that are feeding her, helping her dance, and then they They pull out that guillotine. Pray Tell wins one-liner award for the second time this episode when he says, "Y'all created a guillotine for this mess? For real?" I was laughing my ass off when he was talking to them about that. When Elektra's looking for her scores, Pray Tell literally rips her a new one. Michael, what did you think about him shaming her for not showing up to the church demonstration like everybody else?
Having lived through that experience and through that anger and through the community dividing itself, I understand both sides, and I could fall on Electra's side and say, you know what, those people that could not face this or did not want to face the anger and they wanted to go on living, they were the spirit of the community. They were the ones that were keeping the clubs open and the dances open and the bars open and people could let loose and let go. But then I really connect with Pray Tell's anger, and it's like it's unfortunate that they have to direct it at each other instead of using what each powerful one has good for the side and move it along together. But yeah, no, I understand them both, and I don't think either one of them was right, either one was wrong. I understood the emotion behind both.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to say very quickly, Michael, that Andrew left a comment saying, "I have to say, Michael is an amazing guy who has great insight into this show. I'm 28 and not me, guys. We're talking about Andrew. I'm 28 and have some similar experiences as him. I greatly appreciate his opinion." Awesome. Michael, snaps to you. I told that you are so awesome.
Thank you. Is it Andrew?
Yes. Andrew Venom. Andrew Venom.
Andrew Venom. All right.
Now, I mean, I definitely agree with you. They shouldn't fight one each other. They should come together and use their superpower for the same force, you know? They Prey and Elektra together. I mean, could you just imagine? It would be almost like a better version of Madison.
Yeah, with Prey are really important with Madison drama, guys. It's great, but yes, with Elektra, it's over. I'm dead.
Oh man, I really hope that they put these two back together as like friends at some point, because Prey is one woke queen and I love him so much, and Elektra is one brutal bitch and I love her so much. I really hope that their friendship mends by the end of season 2.
But the end of episode 2.
By the end of episode 2?
Yes, let's get back on. Just to get Elektra back on track.
Miss Angel, guys, once again, she rocks the ball with 10s across the board. And right after that, Angel breaks down because this was a model category and she thinks that she'll never be a real model. And she starts getting very upset. Blanca and Poppy are there for her, and she confesses to them what happened at the photo shoot with the professional photographer. And I love how they both got rightfully upset, not at her, but at the photographer for taking advantage of her. She's just a 22-year-old, 23-year-old kid. I mean, in the business world—
transgender kid.
Yes. And in the business world, you're not technically considered an adult until you're 35. I mean, so in my opinion, until she's 35, I'm not going to say, well, she should have known better, because she shouldn't have. She's still a naive young person who is still, you know, rowing these waters of life and still learning about herself. And I mean, yeah, I really loved their reaction to going ape shit on the guy. I mean, little Poppy beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And they took all the photos back, which, Michael, do you think they actually did get all the photos?
No. Like I say, I think Ryan writers, I really think they're setting Angel up for something really tragic. A real big downfall for her.
My God, like what?
Well, just that that she starts to get into what she thinks is going to be a successful career or a successful opportunity, gets used again. These photos come out. They're in porn magazines all over the place. She gets outed as say she goes on a job and she goes on the job as a woman. She gets outed as a transgender woman. Probably abused, beat up, just degraded to the thing. I mean, good things didn't happen for a lot of these people, and I think they're using Angel. She's our crutch. that we're seeing. We saw it in the first season with Stan. She was that naive girl that fell in love with a straight douchebag that used his selfishness to use her, and then now we got Angel as the aspiring model who gets used and abused from everything that around comes from being a young inspiring model. But the fact that she's transgender on top of it is really going to complicate things for her. That's just what I got from it. This could be a Cinderella story, and we could get really, really great things for Angel, and that's what I would hope for. But I don't think this show's too rough. This show is really showing you brutal reality of the time.
Exactly. No, I kind of got that tone, Michael, when I was watching the episode, especially the final scene when they were all hugging. I really thought, oh God, this is the calm before the storm of tomorrow. Exactly. You know, and
oh yeah. But
how about you guys in the
what's her actress's name? What's the actress's name who plays Angel?
India Moore.
India Moore. Yes. That performance when she was telling them about the nude photos, about what she did, it was a master class in acting from her. That was the best thing that I have ever seen. Any of these actresses, these young actresses, 9 episodes, just the emotion that came from her, from that not wanting to cry, not wanting to speak it. I was sitting there sobbing. I was like, oh my God, this she has grown so much between the two seasons, and that was Emmy worthy right there.
Absolutely. And a lot of them have actually, a lot of them have been nominated for very important awards, guys. It's all on Twitter. I've been sharing a lot of that stuff recently, but it is so exciting to see that a lot of the actors, like MJ Rodriguez is up for an MTV award. And I think there's even Oscar nominations for like Janet Mock in them. So
Emmy, you mean?
I'm sorry, Michael, what?
Emmy.
An Emmy, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they deserve it. They deserve every good award that they get.
They do.
So yeah, they beat the shit out of Little Poppy beats the shit out of the photographer. They get the backups, they get the photos, and it's really sweet too how Blanca, she looks at some of the photos and she looks at Angel and she's like, "You're beautiful, baby girl." You know, it's like,
yeah, right. Yes, that was right when they said that line. It kept going in my head. Please let this be good. Please let the pictures be artistic, beautiful. You know, aspiring photographer. You know, kind of. I was like, please. And when Blanca said that, you're beautiful, girl, I was like, yes, this is it. Oh no, hell, it wasn't.
Well, now after that, Angel and Blanca have this really beautiful mother-daughter moment together in the bathroom when Blanca reveals to Angel her diesel count and that she's basically getting sicker and she doesn't have much longer. And it's just a beautiful bonding moment between, a mother and a daughter. You know, they're not blood, but they're family. And it was just, I don't know, it was just one of the most beautiful things to see. I love the interactions between Angel and Blanca. They are definitely a very great family, as far as I'm concerned. And of course, we also learned that Angel made it into the finals for her modeling job or her modeling contest. So that's really exciting. Now, Miss Electra comes to dinner because they always have family dinner. It's every Sunday, right?
Friday, was it? Friday dinner?
It's every Friday. Okay, Friday dinner.
I think.
So, I'm sorry, Michael?
I think that's what they said. Friday dinner. Oh, somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
It's Friday or Sunday. It's one day like that. Yeah. But Electra comes to dinner and just, wow. She must be on her fucking Menzies. I'm sorry. I'm binge watching Orange is the New Black. So Menzies. I'm sorry. They said it a lot in season
Friday
4. But fucking Electra just goes crazy. They start asking her a couple of questions like, where does the jewelry and the money come from? Why haven't you paid your rent? Where have you been? And she flips. She pulls like a Teresa from the real
this exactly
Housewives thing. She
flips
her table on them. And I just, wow. And then she fucking walks out of the house of Evangelista and joins the house of Ferocity. What the fuck happened to it? Now, that's the one thing I think that Michael and I are definitely going to spend a little bit more time talking about. The episode basically closes with everybody at the ball, the House of Abundance, the House of Evangelista sweeping up basically a lot of the awards. And then we get a great, beautiful scene of all of them, the House of Evangelista hugging, happy, we know they're doomed. Fuck.
Exactly.
Shit. I don't know if my heart
Yep.
can take it this season, Michael. I just don't know.
Mine already can't. I'm sitting there sobbing many times during this episode. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Ryan. Shouldn't you relive all this mess?
Seriously. And Stephen Kennels is the writer. And Ryan and Brad are doing a little bit of the writing, but really it's Stephen Kennels' actual vision. So I really hope.
I need to look him up to see. I need to look him up to see where he grew up, where he went to college and stuff. I wonder if he was in New York or San Francisco during all this, because he has got it. He has absolutely got the insight to this.
Yes. And I'm so glad that he continued to shop his script around. He kept going to other different networks and maybe movie theaters or theaters. What the fuck am I talking about? I am so sorry, guys. I've lost half of my sense. The most point is that he never stopped trying to get his script out there, trying to get somebody to love it and someone to produce it. And finally it happened. And I am so glad.
Yeah, I'm going to look him up tonight. See what call us, Steven, if you're on. Come on.
Steven, we'd love to have you on the show. And guys, if you would like him to be on the show, we will maybe start like some kind of Twitter campaign.
Yes,
starting next week or something.
I would love to hear his insight. Oh my God, it would be amazing.
Alicia has a really great theory. Excuse me. I saw Andrew's comment right here. Alicia, that is a great theory, and I am so on board for it. And I was like, well, if Andrew loves it. And so I went up there and I saw Alicia's comment. And Alicia, this is her theory, Michael, so I need to know what you it's kind of already got me. Alicia says, I'm worried Angel is going to end up like Gia. The modeling scene was drug-filled, and that's how Gia Carnegie, I said it wrong, contracted HIV. Wow. So
either that,
I mean,
or I'm waiting for something that tragic.
Wow. I mean, you're right. No, something tragic will absolutely have to happen. That's what it seems like they're setting up.
Well, okay, I don't want to put this out in the universe. Lord, help me. So I'm going to put this out in the universe. Especially with the two scenes that we had with Blanca and Angel tonight. Blanca's going to lose Angel. We're going to lose Angel this season.
You don't mean like dying, do you?
Yeah. Because they said this whole thing about Blanca trying to tell Angel, you have to take over the house when I'm gone. I'm going to need you to carry this on. There's and there's a couple scenes like that in season 1 where they're saying you're the next. I'm leaving this to you. You're all I have to move forward with. And it's like, what if the roles are reversed and you don't have Angel anymore, and she's not there? Just saying. Write it down that I said this right this time.
And when he's right, we'll pull it back up. Oh my gosh. I was so excited for season 2 of Pose. And now I'm like, oh God, this emotional roller coaster that I'm about to go through the next 7 weeks. I don't know how many episodes they're doing of season 2. I never checked. I think they're doing 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope they better do at least 8.
At
least 8. So who do you think what do you think was one of the best scenes this episode, Michael?
Oh, that's easy. Well, the scene that got me the most was the die-in, but the scene that I thought was the best was Angel's confession to Poppy and Blanca. I thought it was brilliant. Absolutely freaking amazing.
Yeah, I gotta agree. That was a really great scene where she just bears herself like that to them and tells them what happened. Absolutely. And I guess we can both agree that the top what the fuck moment came from Elektra when she flipped the damn table and just completely went against her character arc.
Let me see what I wrote during this. I said, in big ol' ass thing, rant, why, come on, not happy. All the work they did to set up in season 1, what the fuck? That's what I wrote. Well, I was saying, so you can see, rants, not happy. But a little bit relieved when they showed I was listening to the preview when you were playing it, that looks like we may get some meat to this. And if we get a journey, if we get a story of why at this moment in the beginning of this episode that has brought her to this type of anger and this type of boiling over, I can accept it a lot better. But to go from episode 8 into season 2, episode 1, it's basically, to me, all it showed was we missed Elektra. We missed the Elektra that we formed in episode 1 of season 1. And so we're going to throw her right back into the show, and we'll throw out all the work that she did, during the first season, that whole character arc. I mean, we spent the last episode, a huge part of the last episode, talking about how amazing that character arc was and how amazing that journey was. And it's thrown out the window, but we don't know that yet. It may not be. And when we were talking, it made me feel a lot better about it, because if they give her a big, juicy, meaty thing to take us to where we're at this point, then I can accept it a lot better. But the fact that she went to Lulu and Candy as a mother's home, I was like, oh God, this is turning into a farce. I'm like, what the hell? Oh man.
Yeah, that was very unexpected. Very unexpected. Not gonna lie.
Yep.
For Elektra to go to House of Ferocity.
Exactly.
I did not like that one bit. And I mean, you are 100% correct. That when we had the discussion yesterday, which, guys, we reviewed season 1 of Pose together yesterday in a special, very long live stream, me and Michael.
Yeah.
If you want to check that out, absolutely do that. But one of the things that definitely Michael and I really loved was Elektra's journey. I mean, we honestly together thought that she had the best journey the entire thing through season 1.
Yep.
And yeah, it really feels like they took a shit on that.
They did, the whole of the birthing of Elektra, and her finding herself, and after her post-op, that was when Elektra was born, and all this, just right out the freaking window. Yeah. It's like in her big speech before she flipped the table, she's telling Blanca, "I'm gonna rip you apart at the balls," and that it's like, why is Elektra back to this whole ball mess? That wasn't the Elektra that we loved.
I guess there's obviously going to be some reason foretold of why she is kind of turning her mind away, like not trying to focus on the problem right now that Pray Tell is showing her. He's showing her, look, the community, all these people are against us. They want us to die. We have to fight. We have to save ourselves. And it seems like she's working so hard to not be involved. So yeah, it really does make me think that something personal has happened to Elektra that we don't know about, and that has made her act out like that. I mean,
well, we do know that there is a secret. She won't say where the money's coming from. She won't say what's going on there. So we know that we're at least going to get some meat into that. I just hope it's not a sophomore mistake. Because what we see a lot of times in shows, God, look at Scream Queens. But what we see, a lot within shows is they miss the aspects, the elements that they set forth during the first season so much. The real popular elements, like everybody loved Elektra the first season. Everybody loved Pray Tell the first season, and their quippy one-liners and their back and forth. And with Elektra's change, she wasn't that Elektra anymore. And then, so I hope it's not the writers just missing that Elektra and just thrusting her back into it. I hope there's a reason. That's all I'm saying.
I love that shade you just gave Scream Queen season 2.
Well, me and you haven't talked Orange is the New Black the last season either, because let me tell you, I like Scream Queen season 2 a whole hell of a lot better than I liked the last season of Orange is the New Black. That was trash. TV trash. Okay, so I'm trying to finish season 3 so I can move on to 4 and 5 again, so I can really watch season 6 over again. It has been a while, and I just don't really remember liking it that much because they all went to Max. It sucked.
I just thought that just legally,
spend 5 years developing characters that you love and you're with it, and you get rid of 3/4 of the cast in one fell swoop.
right?
Oh.
Oh, we're gonna have to, I guess, have an Orange is the New Black live
Yeah.
stream. So, let's see. When Blanca quit her job was Alicia's favorite part of the episode tonight. And I do have to take a moment to say that, yes, we forgot to include about when Blanca quit her job, when she told her boss was telling her that she couldn't leave and she wanted to leave to go to the demonstration with Pray Tell and everybody. And they told her that, you can't. You're lucky that we've hired you because nobody else will hire a man, and it's like, she was such a cunt to Blanca. So Blanca told her to take the job and shove it up her ass, and that she'd go out there and she'd buy her own salon. And then she'd come back to, this woman's salon and buy hers. And I thought, oh my God, there you go, Blanca.
It's that anger. It's that anger. It's feeding into the communities, and people are taking stands in their own personal lives, moving themselves forward because that's what they're around all day long. They're around that bullshit all day long. And but when the ACT UP movement came in and people were freaking dying, left and right on them, they said, no more, no more. We're not taking this. And I was so glad that Blanca was like, bye, Felicia girl, bye.
Bye, Felicia. Yes. Andrew's favorite moment was the opening scene. He said he was sobbing so hard. Absolutely, Andrew. I mean, and Michael and I both agree that one thing that we truly love about the show is how brutally realistic it is. And
for somebody like me, it's like, something like me sitting looking at this, it post-traumatic. It hurts. Some of this stuff really hurts to watch.
And someone like me who was just, a young kid, because in 1990, I was like, 10 years old. I was listening to Nirvana on, my CD player. Or I didn't have a CD player.
Just getting ready to graduate. Diana, speak up. I'm not the only one that's old. Speak up, Diana.
But I mean, some of us, we had no idea. We'd get some of the, when we'd have the guest speakers come and talk to us about HIV, AIDS, and how to protect ourselves and things like that. The way it was presented to me in small town Texas, I had obviously no idea what other people were suffering through because you didn't have the internet back in 1990. You didn't see any of that stuff. Newspapers didn't report on it. Other news stations didn't cover other states. You only got your local stuff. And most likely, if you did get some world news, they wouldn't cover that. They wouldn't cover AIDS. They wouldn't cover the AIDS.
No.
They tried to sweep that shit under the rug.
Nobody talked about it. The government didn't talk about it. The news didn't talk about it. Nobody said. It's very interesting that you mentioned that because I was just thinking about how the two worlds that I live were so. Because I was about in 90, 91. That was my 17, 18-year-old time frame, and I lived in a military family. All straight people around that lived, just the regular life. There wasn't talk about whatever. And then I was also, sneaking out, going to the gay bars at night, had my gay community friends, and it was like two bubbles of two totally different worlds. We knew what was going on here, and then you go back to this reality, and there's no acknowledgement of it. There's no acknowledgement that people are dying, left and right around you,
and people are ignorant to it.
Yeah, and there's so much hate and so much fear.
Right. The hate is what I don't understand, and I still don't get how could you hate somebody for getting something that kills them? It's not their fault. I mean, yeah.
Well, first off, it was never a gay disease. They found a reason to peg it on gay people.
Exactly.
And that just fed into the whole organized religion thing against gay people. And it's like, oh, now they're out there killing people. Oh no, we got to put an end to this.
Oh yeah.
It was God's will.
Of the gay agenda. Okay.
You know what? I still have not got my copy. Somebody has my copy of the gay agenda. Please forward it to me because I have not read it yet.
I know. I think it's probably available on the dark web somewhere.
Let me know. Hook me up. I'd love to know if I'm doing it right or not.
Let's see. Angel and Poppy show that love transcends sexuality. That's from Diana. Let's see. A couple people. Diana also says we get 9 episodes, and Debbie says IMDb says 10 episodes. So I would go with probably Diana because we all know IMDb is.
I could go right on IMDb right now.
So Diana's also guessing that Diana and Alicia are guessing that Electra is a dominatrix. Do you think so? Because I definitely think so, Michael.
Would she be hiding something like that? Why would she be embarrassed?
Yeah, because I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, even still now, people still have to hide themselves if they're, part of that.
Or is she doing porn?
I would think dominatrix.
Yeah. Well, she'd be good at it.
Yeah, well, yeah. Because once I saw that preview for season 2, I thought, oh, Electra's a dominatrix. Hell yeah, she found her calling, telling people to fuck off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Let's see. And Debbie says, I went to Catholic school. They never talked about AIDS. And Diana Fitzgerald said it was the people in the music industry that brought it to light.
Yes, music and communities like this. Yeah, backed up.
Okay, so Michael, what would you rate this episode tonight out of 1 out of 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the highest?
I would have given this episode as close to a 10 as I possibly could without giving it perfection until the election mess. The election mess just So I would give this episode like a soft 8, hard 7, because I think that Electra thing was so jarring. It took me right out of the episode to be like, what are we doing? We just went through all this perfection. I'm sitting here sobbing from that whole act up stuff, and then you throw that at me? No. So 8-ish, soft 8.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 9 just because I'm really excited that Pose is even back in the first place.
Yes.
So it's more of excitement rating than actual true rating. But I do definitely give it a good solid 9 just for the fact that all of our characters were back. We got to basically see everybody and we got some, some pretty good answers on some questions that we had been wondering about for the characters. I'm just so glad that Pose is back.
Yeah, just be careful what you wish for because this ain't gonna be fun. This is gonna be hard.
I know, right? I keep saying that. Then it's like, then I get back to thinking about it. It's like something's gonna happen, Angel. Our Blanca might die.
I sat there and I think it was right after the die-in, and I was that commercial break, and I was pulling myself together, and I thought, where would we be in society today if this type of honesty was on TV in 1990? Thank you for doing this now. It's never too late.
Better late than never.
30 years of this kind of honesty in people's faces would have changed the entire world.
Absolutely. And guys, if you wouldn't mind letting us know what you rated the episode in the comments, we would be very appreciative. Now, guys, don't forget that Michael and I are definitely going to be back next Tuesday. And I'll be back tomorrow for Weekly Wednesday live stream. And let me know also what your one-liner of the week award, who that went to. Of course, mine went to Pray Tell. Michael, is there any one-liner that stuck out to you?
I put one down somewhere and I can't remember what it was. It was Pray Tell, I'm sure. But it wasn't a funny one though. There was something really poignant that he said. It was towards the end. If I think of it, but it was. It was right at the end. Is when Blanca was so happy about the whole Vogue thing, and it was just at the end. She says she was so happy in her glee, and then you can kind of see the slow motion kind of go behind. She says, "This is just the beginning." And I said, "Yeah, fuck you. This is just the beginning. You just wait to we're in for an avalanche." And then it goes black on the screen and it says "Silence equals death." I was like, "That's brilliant writing."
I'm sad now. Shit. Why do I torture myself with these shows and watch them?
I know.
We both do it. We're both torturing ourselves. Well, let's see. Diana Fitzgerald gives the episode 10s across the board. Debbie says 8. Andrew says 9.8. There is always room for improvement.
All right, Andrew.
D. King says 7.9.
Okay.
Debbie says, I didn't care for that opening or Electra's meltdown, but the rest was great. She said 7.5 to an 8.
Me and Debbie are right there.
Said that. Oh, I'm sorry, Michael?
I said me and Debbie are right there. Those are the two problems that I had with the episode.
She said that Pray Tell's guillotine quote was what slayed her. Y'all really made a guillotine for this?
Y'all really make it? God, I love Billy Porter.
I gotta say the writers did a really good job with writing those one-liners. They like Pam from True Blood. She always won the one-liner award. Her or Jason from Jason Stackhouse from True Blood. So I think it's like they understand how those one-liners can just really punch people. So.
Did you see the tweet that Danny posted in the admin board today about with Billy Porter? Somebody asked him if he's
Yes,
coming back for HS8, and he says, no,
he's
I'm
not.
still
Yeah,
filming Pose. And I was like, you're filming Pose is right where you should be. Keep your ass right there.
exactly. Stay with Pose, bitch.
Right.
Absolutely. I will definitely be reporting that tomorrow. All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much for being here with us. Again, if you enjoyed the stream, please thumb it up. Michael and I would be very appreciative. We'll be back next Tuesday to review the show. I'm probably going to put a review up on the channel. Michael, are you going to put a review up for yourself?
I can, yeah.
Okay, well, if you do, just let me know, and I'll put a link in the description, or I'll put it up in the actual video, so that way people can go watch your review as well.
Okay,
All
cool.
right, guys. Oh, and Got Muggled said they give it a 9. So
Go ahead, Got Muggled.
That's what I say too. All right, guys. Thank you again so much for being here. Michael and I sincerely appreciate it. And I also want to say a huge thank you to my co-host, Michael. You are incredible. Everybody loves you. You are my soul brother. And I'm so glad we're doing the show together.
Vogue.
All right, everybody. Vogue. That's right. Yeah. All right. See you guys. We will see you next week. Bye, everybody.